Hi guys, I'm back. Today I'm going to read 1 Kings 10 to 15, Proverbs 23, and Psalm 121. Let's get started. Now when the Queen of Sheba heard of the fame of Solomon concerning the name of the Lord, she came to test him with hard questions. She came to Jerusalem with a very great retinue, with camels bearing spices, and very much gold and precious stones. And when she came to Solomon, she told him all that was on her mind. And Solomon answered all her questions. There was nothing hidden from the king that he could not explain to her. And when the Queen of Sheba had seen all the wisdom of Solomon, the house that he had built, the food of his table, the seating of his officials, and the attendance of his servants, the clothing, his cupbearers, and his burnt offerings that he offered at the house of the Lord, there was no more breath in her. And she said to the king, "The report was true, what I heard, that I heard in my own word of your words and of your wisdom. But I did not believe the reports until I came and my own eyes had seen. And behold, the half was not told me. Your wisdom and prosperity surpass the report that I heard. Happy are your men, happy are your servants who continually stand before you and hear your wisdom. Blessed be your God, the Lord your God, who has delighted in you and set you on the throne of Israel. Because the Lord loves Israel forever, he has made you king, that you may execute justice and righteousness." Then she gave the king 120 talents of gold, and a very great quantity of spices and precious stones. Never again came such an abundance of spices as these that the Queen of Sheba gave to King Solomon. Moreover, the fleet of Hiram, which brought gold from Ophir, and brought from Ophir a very great amount of almug wood and precious stones. And the king made of the almug wood supports for the house of the Lord and for the king's house, also lyres and harps for the singers. And no such almug wood has come here or has been seen to this day. And King Solomon gave to the Queen of Sheba all that she desired, whatever she asked, besides what was given her by the bounty of King Solomon. So she turned and went back to her own land with her servants. Now the weight of gold that came to Solomon in 1 year was 666 talents of gold, besides that which came from the explorers and from the business of the town, of the merchants, and from all the kings of the west, and from the governors of the land. King Solomon made 200 large shields of beaten gold. 600 shekels of gold went into each shield, and he made 300 shields of beaten gold. 3 minas of gold went into each shield. And the king put them in the house of the forest of Lebanon. King also made a great ivory throne and overlaid it with the finest gold. The throne had 6 steps, and the throne had a round top. And on each side of the seat were armrests and 2 lions standing beside the armrests. Now 12 lions stood there, one on each end of a step on the 6 steps. The like of it was never made in any kingdom. And King Solomon's drinking vessels were of gold, and all the vessels of the house of the forest of Lebanon were of pure gold. None were of silver. Silver was not considered as anything in the days of Solomon. While the king had a fleet of ships at Tarshish at sea, with a fleet of Hiram. Once every 3 years, the fleet of ships at Tarshish used to come bringing gold, silver, ivory, apes, and peacocks. Thus King Solomon excelled at all the kings of the earth in riches and in wisdom. And the whole earth saw the presence of Solomon to hear his wisdom, which God had put into his mind. Every one of them was brought his present, articles of silver and gold, garments, myrrh, spices, horses, and mules, so much for year by year. And Solomon gathered together chariots and horsemen. He had 1,400 chariots and 12,000 horsemen, whom he stationed in the chariot cities with the king in Jerusalem. And the king made silver as common in Jerusalem as stone, and he made clear cedar as plentiful as the sycamore of the shepherd. And Solomon's import of horses was from Egypt and Kir. And the king's traders received from Kir at a price. A chariot could be imported from Egypt for 600 shekels of silver, and a horse for 150. And so through the king's traders, they were exported to all the kings of the Hittites and the kings of Syria. Now King Solomon loved many foreign women, along the daughter of Pharaoh, Moabite, Ammonite, Edomite, Sidonian, and Hittite women, from the nations concerning which the Lord had said to the people of Israel, "You shall not enter into marriage with them, neither shall they with you, for surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. Solomon clung to these in love. He had 7,000 wives, 2 princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. For when Solomon was old, his wives turned away his heart from after other gods, and his heart was not wholly true to the Lord's God. And this was the heart of David his father. And Solomon went after Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Sidonians, and after Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites. So Solomon did what was evil in the sight of the Lord, and did not wholly follow the Lord, as David his father had done. And Solomon built a high place for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab, and for Moloch, the abomination of the Ammonites, on the mountain east of Jerusalem. And so he did for all his foreign wives. He made offerings and sacrificed to their gods. And the Lord was very angry with Solomon, because his heart had turned away from the Lord, the God of Israel, who had appeared to him twice, and had commanded him concerning this thing, that he should not go after other gods. But he did not keep what the Lord commanded. Therefore the Lord said to Solomon, since this has been your practice, and you have not kept my covenant and my statutes that I have commanded you, I will surely take the kingdom from you and give it to your son. Yet for the sake of David your father, I will not do it in all your days, but I will tear it out of the hand of your son. However, I will not tear away all the kingdom. I will give one tribe to your son, for the sake of David, my servant, and for the sake of Jerusalem that I have chosen. And the Lord raised up an adversary against Solomon, Hadad the Edomite. He was of the royal house in Edom. When David was in Edom, and Joab, the commander of the army, went up to bury the slain, he struck down every male in Edom. But Hadad fled to Egypt, together with the certain Edomites of his father's servants. Hadad still being a little child. They set out with Midian and came to Paran, and took men with them from Paran, and came to Egypt. Pharaoh, king of Egypt, he gave him a house and assigned him an allowance of food, and gave him land. And Hadad found great favor in the sight of Pharaoh, so that he gave him in marriage to the sister of his own wife, the sister of Tahpenes the queen. And the sister of Tahpenes bore him Genubath his son, whom Tahpenes weaned in Pharaoh's house. And Genubath was in Pharaoh's house among the sons of Pharaoh. But when Hadad heard in Egypt that David slept with his fathers, and that Joab, the father of his army, was dead, the commander of the army was dead, Hadad said to Pharaoh, let me depart, that I may go to my own country. And Pharaoh said to him, why have you lacked with me that you are now seeking to go to your own country? And he said to him, only let me depart. God also raised up as an adversary to him Rezin the son of Eliada, who fled from his master Hadadezer king of Zobah. And he gathered men about him, and became leader of a marauding band, after the killing by David. And they went to Damascus and lived there, and made him king in Damascus. He was an adversary of Israel all the days of Solomon, doing harm as Hadad did. And he loathed Israel and reigned over Syria. Jeroboam the son of Nebat, an Ephraimite of Zerah, a servant of Solomon, whose mother's name was Zeruiah, a widow, also lifted up his hand against the king. And this was the reason why he lifted up his hand against the king. Solomon built Millah, and closed up the breach of the city of David his father. A man named Jeroboam was very able, and when Solomon saw that the young man was industrious, he gave him charge over all the forced labor of the house of Joseph. And at the time when Jeroboam went out of Jerusalem, the prophet Ahijah the Shilonite found him on the road. Now Ahijah had dressed himself in a new garment, and the two of them were alone in the open country. Then Ahijah laid hold of the new garment that was on him, and tore it into 12 pieces. And he said to Jeroboam, take for yourself 10 pieces. For thus says the Lord, the God of Israel, behold, I am about to tear the kingdom from the hand of Solomon, and will give you 10 tribes. Because they have forsaken me and worship Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Sidonians, Chemosh, the god of Moab, and Milcom, the god of the Ammonites, and they have not walked in my ways, doing what is right in my sight, and keeping my statutes and my rules, as David his father did. Nevertheless, I will not take the whole kingdom out of his hand. Yet I will make him ruler all the days of his life, for the sake of David my servant, whom I chose, who kept my commandments and my tribes. Now I will take the kingdom out of his son's hand, and will give it to you 10 tribes. Yet to his son I will give 1 tribe. David my servant may always have a lamp before me in Jerusalem, in the city where I have chosen to put my name. And I will take you, and you shall reign over all that your soul desires. You shall be king over Israel. And if you listen to all that I command you, and will walk in my ways and do what is right, right in my eyes by keeping my statutes and my commandments, as David my servant did. I will be with you and will build you a secure house, as I built for David, and I will give Israel to you, and I will afflict the offspring of David because of this, and I'll give Israel to you, and I will afflict the offspring of David because of this, but not forever. And Solomon sought therefore to kill Jeroboam. But Jeroboam arose and fled into Egypt, to Shishak the king of Egypt, and was in Egypt until the death of Solomon. Now the rest of the acts of Solomon, and all that he did, and his wisdom, are they not written in the book of the acts of Solomon? And the time that Solomon reigned in Jerusalem over all the land was 40 years. And Solomon slept with his fathers and was buried in the city of David, his father. And Rehoboam his son reigned in his place. Rehoboam went to Shechem, for all Israel had come to Shechem to make him king. And as soon as Jeroboam the son of Nebat heard of it, and Jeroboam returned from Egypt, and they sent and called him. From Jeroboam and all the assembly of Israel came, and said to Rehoboam, Your father made our yoke heavy. Now therefore lighten the hard service of your father, and his heavy yoke on us, and we will serve you. And he said to them, Go away for 3 days, then come again to me. So the people went away. Then King Rehoboam took counsel with the old men, who had stood before Solomon his father while he was yet alive, saying, How do you advise me to answer this people? And they said, If you will be a servant to this people today, and speak good words to them when you answer them, and they will be your servants forever. And he abandoned the counsel that the old men gave him, and took counsel with the young men who had grown up with him and stood before him. And he said to them, What do you advise that we answer this people who have said to me, Learn the yoke that your father put on us? And the young men who had grown up with him said to him, Thus shall you speak to this people who said to you, Your father made our yoke heavy, but you lighten it for us. Thus you shall say to him, My little finger is thicker than my father's thighs. And now, whereas my father laid on you a heavy yoke, I will add to your yoke. My father disciplined you with whips, but I will discipline you with scorpions. So Jeroboam and all the people came to Rehoboam the 3rd day. And the king said, Come to me again the 3rd day. And the king answered the people harshly, and forsaking the counsel that the old men had given him, he spoke to them according to the counsel of the old men, saying, My father made your yoke heavy, but I will add to your yoke. My father disciplined you with whips, but I will discipline you with scorpions. So the king did not listen to the people, for it was a turn of affairs brought about by the Lord, that he might fulfill his word, which the Lord spoke by Ahijah the Shilonite, to Jeroboam the son of Nebat. And when all Israel saw that the king did not listen to them, the people answered the king, What portion do we have in David? We have no inheritance in the son of Jesse. To your tents, O Israel, look now to your own house, David. So Israel went to their tents. But Rehoboam reigned over the people of Israel who lived in the cities of Judah. And King Rehoboam sent Joram, who was taskmaster, over the forced labor, and all Israel was stoned him to death with stones. And King Rehoboam hurried to mount his chariot to flee to Jerusalem. So Israel had been calling in rebellion against the house of David to this day. And when all Israel heard that Jeroboam was captured, they sent and called him to the assembly, and made him king over all Israel. There was none that followed the house of David, but the tribe of Judah only. And Rehoboam came to Jerusalem. He assembled all the house of Judah and the tribe of Benjamin, 180,000 chosen warriors, again to fight against the house of Israel, to restore the kingdom to Rehoboam the son of Solomon. That the word of God came to Shimei the man of God, saying to Rehoboam the son of Solomon, king of Judah, and to all the house of Judah and Benjamin, and to the rest of the people. And thus says the Lord, You shall not go up or fight against your relatives, the people of Israel. Every man returned to his home, for this thing is from me. So they listened to the word of the Lord, and went home again, according to the word of the Lord. Then Jeroboam built Shechem in the hill country of Ephraim, and lived there. And he went out from there and built Peniel. And Jeroboam said in his heart, Now the kingdom will turn back to the house of David. If this people go up to offer sacrifices in the temple of the Lord at Jerusalem, and the heart of this people will turn again to the Lord, to Rehoboam king of Judah, and they will kill me and return to Rehoboam king of Judah. So the king took counsel and made 2 coals of gold. And he said to the people, You've gone up to Jerusalem long enough. Behold your gods, O Israel, who brought you up out of the land of Egypt. And he set one in Bethel, and the other he put in Dan. And this thing became a sin, for the people went as far as Dan to be all the people, to be before one. He also made temples on high places and appointed priests from among all the people who were not of the Levites. And Jeroboam appointed a feast on the 15th day of the 8th month, like the feast that was in Judah. And he offered sacrifices on the altar. So he did in Bethel, sacrificing to the gods that he had made. And he placed in Bethel the priests of the high places that he had made. He went up the altar that he had made in Bethel, sacrificing to the gods that he made. And he placed in Bethel the priests of the high places that he had made. And he went up the altar that he had made in Bethel on the 15th day in the 8th month, in the month that he had derived from his own heart. And he instituted a feast for the people of Israel, and went up to the altar to make offerings. And behold, a man of God came out of Judah by the word of the Lord to Bethel. Jeroboam was standing by the altar to make offerings. And the man cried against the altar by the word of the Lord, and said, O altar, thus says the Lord, behold, a son shall be born to the house of David, Josiah by name, and he shall sacrifice on you the priests of the high places who make offerings to you on you, and human bones shall be burned on you. And he gave a sign the same day, and saying, This is the sign that the Lord has spoken. Behold, the altar shall be torn down, and the ashes that are on it shall be poured out. And when the king heard the saying of the man of God, he cried against the altar at Bethel, saying, Jeroboam stretched out his hand from the altar, saying, Seize him. And his hand, which he stretched out against it, dried up, so that he could not draw it back to himself. The altar was also torn down, and the ashes poured out from the altar, according to the sign that the man of God had given by the word of the Lord. And the king said to the man of God, Entreat now the favor of the Lord your God, and pray for me that my hand may be restored to me. And the man of God entreated the Lord, and the king's hand was restored to him, and it became as it was before. And the king said to the man of God, Come home with me, refresh yourself, and I will give you a reward. And the man of God said to the king, If you will give me half your house, I will not go in with you, and I will not eat bread or drink water in this place. For so was it commanded me by the word of the Lord, saying, You shall neither eat bread nor drink water, nor return by the way that you came. So he went another way, and did not return by the way that he came to Bethel. Now an old prophet lived in Bethel, and his sons came and told him all that the man of God had done that day in Bethel. They also told to their father the words that he had spoken to the king. And their father said to him, Which way did he go? And his son showed him the way that the man of God, who came from Judah, had gone. And he said to his son, Saddle the donkey for me. So they saddled the donkey for him, and he mounted it. And he went after the man of God, and found him sitting under an oak. And he said to him, Are you the man of God who came from Judah? And he said, I am. And he said to him, Come home with me and eat bread. And he said, I may not return with you, or go in with you. Neither will I eat bread nor drink water with you in this place. It was said to me, by the word of the Lord, You shall neither eat bread nor drink water there, nor return by the way that you came. And he said to him, I also am a prophet as you are. And an angel spoke to me by the word of the Lord, saying, Bring him back with you into your house, that he may eat bread and drink water. But he lied to him. And so he went back with him and ate bread in his house and drank water. And as they sat at the table, the word of the Lord came to the prophet who had brought him back. And he cried to the man of God who came from Judah, Thus says the Lord, because you have disobeyed the word of the Lord, and have not kept the command that the Lord your God commanded you, you have come back and eaten bread that drunk water in the place of which he said to you, Eat no bread and drink no water. Your body shall not come to the tomb of your fathers. After he had eaten bread and drunk, he saddled the donkey for the prophet whom he had brought back. And as he went away, a lion met him on the road and killed him. And his body was thrown in the road, and a donkey stood beside him. The lion also stood beside the body. And behold, men passed by and saw the body thrown in the road, and the lion standing by the body. And they came and told it in the city where the old prophet lived. And when the prophet who had brought him back from the way heard of it, he said, It is the man of God who disobeyed the word of the Lord. Therefore the Lord has given him to the lion. which has torn him and killed him. And according to the word of the Lord, that the Lord spoke to him. And he said to his son, saddle the donkey for me. And they saddled it, and he went and found his body thrown in the road, and the donkey and the lion standing beside the body. The lion had not eaten the body or torn the donkey. And the prophet took up the body of the man of God and laid it on the donkey and brought it back to the city to mourn and to bury him. And he laid the body in his own grave, and they mourned over him, saying, Alas, my brother. And after he had buried him, he said to his sons, When I die, bury me in the grave in which the man of God is buried. Lay my bones beside his bones. Well, the saying that he called out by the word of the Lord against the altar in Bethel and against all the houses of the high places that are in the cities of Samaria shall surely come to pass. After this, Jeroboam did not turn away from his evil way, but made priests for the high places again from among all the people. Any who would, he ordained to be priests of the high places. And this thing became sin to the house of Jeroboam, so as to cut it off and to destroy it from the face of the earth. And at that time Abijah the son of Jeroboam fell sick, and Jeroboam said to his wife, Arise and disguise yourself, that it not be known that you are the wife of Jeroboam, and go to Shiloh. Behold, Ahijah the prophet is there. He said of me that I should be king over this people. Take with you 10 loaves, some cakes, and a jar of honey, and go to him. He'll tell you what shall happen to the child. Now Jeroboam's wife did so. She arose and went to Shiloh and came to the house of Ahijah. Now Ahijah could not see, for his eyes were dim because of his age. And the Lord said to Ahijah, Behold, the wife of Jeroboam is coming to inquire of you concerning her son, for he is sick. Thus and thus shall you say to her. When she came, she pretended to be another woman. But when Ahijah heard the sound of her feet, she came in at the door. He said, Come in, wife of Jeroboam. Why do you pretend to be another? For I am charged with unbearable news of you. Go, tell Jeroboam, Thus says the Lord, the God of Israel, because I exalted you from among the people, and made you leader of my people Israel, and tore the kingdom away from the house of David, and gave it to you, and yet you have not been like my servant David. You kept my commandments and followed me in all his heart, doing only that which was right in my eyes. But you have done evil above all who went before you, and have gone and made for yourself other gods and metal images, provoking me to anger, and have cast me behind your back. Therefore, behold, I will bring harm upon the house of Jeroboam, and will cut off from Jeroboam every male, both bond and free in Israel, and will burn up the house of Jeroboam, as a man burns up dung until it is all gone. Anyone belonging to Jeroboam who dies in the sea, the dog shall eat, and anyone who dies in the open country, the birds of the heaven shall eat. For the Lord has spoken it. Arise therefore, go to your house. When your feet enter the sea, the child shall die, and all Israel shall mourn for him and bury him. For he only of Jeroboam shall come to the grave, because in him there is found something pleasing to the Lord, the God of Israel, in the house of Jeroboam. Moreover, the Lord will raise up for himself a king over Israel. Who shall cut off the house of Jeroboam today. And henceforth the Lord will strike Israel as a reed is shaken in the water, and root Israel out of this good land that he gave to their fathers, and scattered them beyond the Euphrates, because they have made their action, provoking the Lord to anger. And he'll give Israel up because of the sins of Jeroboam, which he sinned and made Israel to sin. And then Jeroboam's wife arose and departed and came to Tirzah. And as she came to the threshold of the house, the child died. And all Israel buried him and mourned for him, according to the word of the Lord, which he spoke by his servant Ahijah the prophet. Now the rest of the acts of Jeroboam, with how he warred and how he reigned, behold, they are written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel. And the time that Jeroboam reigned was 22 years. And he slept with his fathers, and Nadab his son reigned in his place. Now Rehoboam the son of Solomon reigned in Judah. Rehoboam was 41 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 17 years in Jerusalem, the city that the Lord had chosen out of all the tribes of Judah and Israel, to put his name there. His mother's name was Naamah of Ammoni, and Judah did what was evil in the sight the Lord, and they provoked him to jealousy with all the sins that they committed, more than all that their fathers had done. For they only built for themselves high places and pillars, and Asherim on every high hill and under every green tree. And there were also male cult prostitutes in the land. They did according to all the abominations and of the nations that the Lord drove out before the people of Israel. And in the 5th year of King Rehoboam, Shishak, king of Egypt, came up against Jerusalem. He took away the treasures of the house of the Lord and the treasures of the king's house. He took away everything. He took away all the shields of gold that Solomon had made, and King Rehoboam made in their place shields of bronze, and committed them into the hands of the officers of the guard. He kept the door by door of the king's house, and as often as the king went into the house of the Lord, the guard carried them and brought them back to the garden. Now the rest of the acts of Rehoboam and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? And there was war between Rehoboam and Jeroboam continually. And Rehoboam slept with his fathers and was buried with his fathers in the city of David. His mother's name was Naamah the Ammonite, and Abijam his son reigned in his place. Now in the 18th year of King Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, Abijam began to reign over Judah. He reigned for 3 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Maacah, the daughter of Abishalom, and he walked in all the sins that his father did before him. And his heart was not wholly true to the true Lord his God, as the heart of David his father. Nevertheless, for David's sake, the Lord his God gave him a lamp in Jerusalem, setting up his son after him, establishing Jerusalem, because David did what was right in the eyes of the Lord, and did not turn aside from anything that he commanded him all the days of his life, except in the matter of Uriah the Hittite. Now there was war between Rehoboam and Jeroboam. All the days of his life. Rest of the acts of Abijam and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? And there was war between Abijam and Jeroboam. And Abijam slept with his fathers, and they buried him in the city of David, and Asa his son reigned in his place. In the 20th year of Jeroboam king of Israel, Asa began to reign over Judah, and he reigned 41 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Maacah, the daughter of Abishalom, and Asa did what was right in the eyes of the Lord. And as David his father had done, he put away the male cult prostitutes out of the land, and removed all the idols that his fathers had made. He also removed Maacah, his mother, from being queen mother, because she had made an abominable image for Asherah. And Asa cut down her image and burned it at the brook Kidron. But the high places were not taken away. Nevertheless, the heart of Asa was wholly true to the Lord all his days, and he brought into the house of the Lord the sacred gifts of his father, and the sacred gift, and his own sacred gifts, silver and gold, and vessels. And there was war between Asa and Baasha, king of Israel, all their days. Baasha, king of Israel, went up against Judah and built Ramah, and that he might permit no one to go out or come in to Asa, king of Judah. And Asa took all the silver and the gold that was left in the treasures of the house of the Lord, and the treasures of the king's house, and gave them into the hands of his servants. And King Asa went and sent them to Ben-Hadad, the son of Tebrim, the son of Hazian, the son of king of Syria, who lived in Damascus, saying, Let there be a covenant between me and you, as there was between my father and your father. Behold, I am sending to you a present of silver and gold. Go, break your covenant with Baasha, the king of Israel, that he may withdraw from me. And Ben-Hadad listened to King Asa, and sent the commanders of all his armies against the cities of Israel, and conquered Jun, Dan, Abel, Beth-Maachah, and all Chinnoth with all the land of Naphtali. And when Baasha heard of it, he stopped building Ramah, when he lived in Tez. When King Asa made a proclamation towards Judah, no one was exempt, and they carried away the stones of Ramah and its timber, with which Baasha had been buried. And with them King Asa built Geba of Benjamin and Mizpah. Now the rest of all the acts of Asa, all his might, and all that he did, and the cities that he built. Are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Judah? And in his old age he was diseased in his feet. And Asa slept with his fathers and was buried with his fathers in the city of David his father. And Jehoshaphat his son reigned in his place. Nadab the son of Jeroboam began to reign over Israel in the 2nd year of Asa king of Judah. And he reigned over Israel 2 years. He did what was evil in the sight of the Lord and walked in the way of his father. And in his sin which he made Israel to sin. But Baasha the son of Ahijah, of the house of Isaac, conspired against him. And Baasha struck him down at Gibbethon, which belonged to the Philistines. But Nadab and all Israel were laying siege to Gibbethon. So Baasha killed him in the 3rd year of Asa, king of Judah, and reigned in his place. And as soon as he was king, he killed all the house of Jeroboam. He left to the house of Jeroboam not one that breathed, until he had destroyed it, according to the word of the Lord that he spoke by his servant Ahijah the Shilonite. It was for the sins of Jeroboam that he sinned, and that he made Israel to sin, and because of the anger to which he provoked the Lord, the God of Israel. Now the rest of the acts of Nadab and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Israel? And there was war between Asa and Baasha, king of Israel, all their days. In the 3rd year of Asa, king of Judah, Baasha the son of Ahijah began to reign over all Israel at Tirzah, and he reigned 24 years. And he did what was evil in the sight of the Lord, and walked in the way of Jeroboam in his sin, in which he made Israel to sin. Proverbs 23. When you sit down to eat with a ruler, observe carefully what is before you, and put a knife to your throat if you are given to appetite. Do not desire his delicacies, for they are deceptive food. Do not toil to acquire wealth. Be discerning enough to desist. When your eyes light on it, it is gone, for suddenly it sprouts wings, flying like an eagle toward heaven. Do not eat the bread of a man who is stingy. Do not desire his delicacies, for he is like one who is inwardly calculated. Eat and drink, he says to you, but his heart is not with you. You vomit up the morsels that you have eaten, and waste your pleasant words. Do not speak in the hearing of a fool, for he will despise the good sense of your words. Do not move an ancient landmark or enter the fields of the fatherless, for their Redeemer is strong, and he will plead their cause against you. Apply your heart to instruction, and your ear to words of knowledge, and do not withhold discipline from a child. If you strike him with a rod, he will not die. If you strike him with a rod, he will save his soul from Sheol. My son, if your heart is wise, my heart too will be glad. My inmost being will exult when your lips speak what is right. Let not your heart envy sinners, but continue in the fear of the Lord all the day. Surely there is a future, and your hope will not be cut off. Hear, my son, and be wise, and direct your heart in the way. Be not among drunkards, or among gluttonous eaters of meat. For the drunkard and the glutton will come to poverty, and slumber will clothe them with rags. Listen to your father who gave you life, and do not despise your mother when she is old. Buy truth, and do not sell it. Wisdom, instruction, and understanding. The father of the righteous will greatly rejoice. He who fathers a wise son will be glad in him. Let your father and mother be glad. Let her who bore you rejoice. My son, give me your heart, and let your eyes observe my ways. For a prostitute is a deep pit, and an adulteress is a narrow well. She lies in wait like a robber, and increases the traitors among mankind. Who is woe? Who is sorrow? Who is strife? Who is complaining? Who is wounds without cause? Who is redness of eyes? And those who tarry long over wine, those who go to try mixed wine. Do not look at wine when it is red, when it sparkles in the cup and goes down smoothly. In the end it bites like a serpent, and stings like an adder. Your eyes will see strange sights, and your heart will utter perverse things. You'll be like one who lies down in the midst of the sea, like one who lies on top of the mast. They struck me, you'll say, but I was not hurt. They beat me, but I did not feel me. When will I wake up? I must have another drink. Psalm 121. I lift up my eyes to the hills. From where does my help come? My help comes from the Lord, who made heaven and earth. He will not let your foot be moved. For he who keeps you will not slumber. Behold, he who keeps Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is your keeper. The Lord is your shade on your right hand. The sun shall not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will keep you from all evil. He will keep you alive. The Lord will keep your going out and your coming in from this time forth and forevermore. Now that stand, I shall now do the Lord's Prayer. Please bow your heads. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread. Forgive us our debts as we also forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For yours is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. See you tomorrow. Bye.